All right. So here's a thing that every developer starts their programming journeys with. We all like to say hello, and we all like to say hello to the world as the very first thing that we do in our programs. And you know, almost everyone starts their journey that way. Um, and in fact, the time it takes for someone to say hello world in a specific programming environment may be the determining factor if they're going to continue their journey um, in that platform or not. So I definitely want you guys to stick around for the rest of the presentation, the rest of the talk. So I'll just get started with the hello world part. All right. So what do we have here? As Paul mentioned, I am the founder of uSorbonne.app, which is this tool that you see right here. It is a developer playground for Sorbonne smart contracts. Now, what do we see on screen exactly? Well, I'm logged in, I have access to the gated alpha here, and I have the ability to create a new project. So let's go ahead and do that. New project pops up, and let's go ahead and delete everything because we're going to start from scratch. So what's this environment all about? Well, first, we have a code editor to the left here. This is where we'll just put our Rust/Sorbonne. This playground runs on Rust and the Rust Sorbonne SDK. As you continue your journey, you'll find out that there's other SDKs for Sorbonne available. For now, we're going to deal with Rust because that's the sort of reference implementation. All right, so we have the code editor. We'll put our Rust in Sorbonne, and then we have some widgets. So right now, console is open, code is open, and let's get started with the hello world part. So how do we do that in Rust? Well, I guess we write a hello function, and we call the print line macro and say hello. Okay. Compile it, and that worked. This is a Rust program, as it should be compiled, and I abstract all the details for creating cargo projects and defining targets and so forth. So you just sort of write some code and click compile, and you're off to the races. Carrying on. So print line hello didn't work. Well, at least it compiled and didn't produce what we wanted. Why is the question? And well, we're working in a Sorbonne environment, right? Sorbonne expects a certain kind of format for these things to work. And everything that we want to be able to call has to live in a contract. So contracts are structs in Rust. We're going to declare a contract struct. This name can be anything you want. I'm going to call it contract because I couldn't come up with a better name. All right, so we go ahead and define an implementation for contract. Let's go ahead and copy this function here. Okay. All right. Compile this again. Now that worked. Again, no compiler errors. But the problem is we still don't see any hellos popping up. So that's not great. Ideally, you want to work with the SDK here because a structure like this is not really Sorbonne. We got to tell it to do a little bit more. So for that, we're going to use the Sorbonne SDK, and we're going to import the contract implementation macro, and that's going to do a bunch of things, but essentially this will convert this implementation right here into a Sorbonne contract. And okay, we have a few errors over here. By the way, Rust is super famous for really good compiler errors. And in this environment, which is enabled by Sorbonne, the way it's designed to leverage WebAssembly and Rust, so we'll get those beautiful Rust compiler errors. And we can see that there's some problems with the panic implementation, although it's not entirely clear what's going on. So I'll just sort of skip the mystery here and solve this problem by defining this macro right here. So contracts on the blockchain have to be super, super efficient in how they use the available ledger space. And Rust programs, even though they're pretty light, they still carry a bunch of stuff that we don't really need as part of our contracts. So to eliminate everything that we don't need and just get the Rust that, the basic Rust that is required for contract logic, well, we declare the noSTD macro. This, unfortunately, removes the ability for us to use the print line macro to print this stuff. And okay, so let's get rid of that. Now we've back to a solid compiling contract here. And let's go ahead and declare this function as a public function. Now we have something on screen up here that's looking like a button. So in this actions widget, which is sort of a third of this interface in the middle, is where you will be able to click and interact with every function that your contract declares. So our contract right here declares a single hello function. We can call it, and we'll see in the console, a return value. So it's implied that a function without an explicit return value returns none in Rust. So same applies here. And we're going to return value null. I guess we can leverage this return dynamic to finally say hello to everyone tuning in. And for that, we will need a special type. So again, since we can't use a Rust string, it's unavailable, we have to figure a different way to carry our information. And for that, we're going to use a symbol, which is an efficient data type in Soroban for storing alphanumeric characters, essentially all the letters of the alphabet plus the digits and the underscore. So what we're going to do with symbol is we're going to initialize a short symbol that says hello. And short just means that this sequence of characters will be able to fit in a single 64-bit value, which is pretty important when it comes to this context. Let's recompile this again. And oh, thank you, Rust compiler. We are returning a value. So let's make sure that we declare what we're returning. And let's call this. All right, so we have a return value hello from this function right here. And this is sort of your most basic implementation of a Soroban contract that says hello to anyone tuning in. Now, let's make it a little bit more spicy. And let's use a little bit more of the environment here. So let's say we're going to log a value. Everybody loves logging. As a someone coming in from a web developer background, I use console log all the time, and console log is the best. So we have an equivalent in Soroban. It's called log, the log macro, and we're going to declare a new function called hello2. And what are we going to do here? We're going to say hello to a specific name. That's going to be a symbol. And we're not going to return anything. Okay, so how do we interact with this log macro? Well, it's a macro, so we use a bang. And then the first argument is the environment within which we're logging this value. And you'll get used to this concept of every single function that your contract has that interacts with anything in the outside world will have to have environment as the very first argument. It's kind of like your access to everything. So log accepts the first argument being the environment. So we're just going to pass in a reference to the environment. Next up, we have a string. And we're going to use hello, bang, and then we're going to provide the name. Okay, let's compile this. Oh, we're missing environment in this import. And a handy feature is if you're having problems with a specific type or you're missing something, you can go ahead and click links right inside of your compiler widget that will take you to the documentation. So it's an easy feedback loop. So now that we've imported an environment, we can recompile this again and try saying hello to Twitch, I guess, is where most of you are. And in this console widget, we can see that in between hello to, which is the function that we're calling, and the return value, we have a log that says hello Twitch. All right, so I'm almost done with the first demo. Anyone and everyone that's tuning in, you can actually test this on your phone. So this is going to be a multimodal demo. And for that, I'm going to take my phone here. So I just popped up this share modal. I'm going to take my phone. This is an actual phone I have here. Bring up the camera. Hey, everyone. And I'll go ahead and look at the QR code here. Tap on usorabon.app. And we can see we're taken to a version of usorabon.app, which is mobile optimized. And, we got to work on mobile experiences just as much as a desktop experience. And someone that's designing these apps, we got to be mindful that that's where our audience is. So this kind of interface will allow users to test this contract anywhere they are, especially on the mobile phone. So we have access to the same sort of widgets. We have the console open, and actions is a sheet down at the bottom. We can go ahead and call hello like we did before. Quick access down at the bottom to the previously called functions. And we can call hello to, and let's do Twitch. Confirm. And then we can call this function with the same arguments if we want to, or we can change the arguments and do YouTube. Okay.